Shambhu Adi. We spoke about Smriti in section 14 now, 7.14.1. Asha vavasmarat bhuyasya sheto vai smaro mantran adide karmani kurute putrascha pashushchechata imam chalokamamum jechachata asham upasveti. Bhagavan further explains. Maharishi Sanat Kumara, Bhagavan explains about what is greater than Smriti to the prayer made by Devarshi Narada. Asha vavasmarat. Hey Devarshi, Asha vavasmarat bhuyasi ashedho vai smaro mantran adhide karmani kurude. The particular thing called smara or self-awareness or the self-existence, self-consciousness mentioned in the preceding chapter is not complete in itself. Its very existence is dependent upon an urge that is prior to that situation. To be in the self-experience, to be in the self-existence, to be in self-consciousness, there has to be a catalyst who creates this self-consciousness, who creates this self-experience, who creates the self or the existence, what we call. So it is prior to the self-experience. Through the consciousness, we said we are experiencing the self-existence. So, if we are experiencing the self-existence, there should be something prior to that, from which it has come. This is a Sukshma Bhava of the self-existence. What is the Sukshmata of the self? We are gradually growing into Sukshmata. What is the Sukshma Bhava of self-existence? Which projected itself from that, the self-experience or self-existence came out. Like when you take the stem of the lotus flower and then cut, then only you see those, those pores. 5 pores are there, no? There are 5 normally. In some 6 are there, but normally it is 5. These can be seen only when you cut it. Yes. Till then, in the external form, it is not available. That is the Sukshma Bhava. From that only this Sthula Bhava which has come. Same way, in order to identify this self-experience, you have to go inside. The self, the external form of it has to be renounced. The self-experience which has come, or the self-existence, what we call, this is a very intricate chapter. I know if one has to explain, it has to be explained days together. When I said, what is the word self-existence? Just for example, I am telling you. I will not go into elaborate. I know it will be boring for you. Just telling you what is the principle of Upanishad. The self-existence or self-experience, whatever you call it. When you divide it, there are two words. One is self, another is experience, another is existence. If there is an existence, there has to be a space. If there is an existence, there has to be somebody who will be witnessing, seeing and confirming that there is an existence. If it is experience, again the same. Somebody who is experiencing something is called experience. Now when self-experience is there, what is that experience, what you call as self-experience? When I say cold, it is cold, you feel. When it is warm, you feel warm. And when I say self-experience, so experiencing cold, experiencing warm, experiencing breeze, experiencing X, Y, Z, like that, experiencing self has to be there. Who experiences the self? That means the self is different from that, whoever is experiencing that. So self is that which is an experience of something else. So it is not a reality, it's a resultant. Self itself is a resultant. You see how it is. This is how, now, as I told you, this itself you have to discuss quite a lot, you see, each and everything. Who is that experiencer of the self? Why he called it as self-experience instead of, as I told you, experience of wind, experience of fire, experience of Panchabhutas? Why didn't he say it is experience of Panchabhutas? Why didn't he say it is experience of Panchapranas? Why didn't he say it's an experience of Prakriti? Self is nothing but Prakriti. Why didn't he say that? Why did he name something called that Asa? The self. Why did he call it as a self? Sayaha, that which is Sayaha, Sa'ata, Sayaha, Savava. Asa, many ways, something which is not very clear. He is the one who he called himself as self. Why he has called it as self? Because it is not the Panchabhutas, it is not the Panchendriyas, it is not the Panchapranas, it is not the Prakriti, it is not this, it is not that, it is something which is not known to me at that point. When I said when it is not known to me, that which is not known to me is inherent in me. Which is known to me is external to me, because it's already known to me. I know that. I can identify. So that is that is separate from me. I know that is separate from me. I do not know that is concealed in me. You see. So that what you do not know is concealed in you. That's called the secrecy of the jnana. That's why the jnanam is secret. Jnanam is rahasya. That's a rahasya. Where is the rahasya? Rahasya is not external to you. Rahasya is only internal to you. Yes. So that what is not known is rahasya. If that is rahasya, that which is internal to you, that which is known is external to you, and what is not known is internal to you or inside you, is why he called it as asa, self, which is not known to me. That experiencing of that not known to me is called self-experience or self-existence. That means there is something which is existing which is not known to me. There is something which is existing that is not known to me. Where is it existing? It is existing in me. Where is the space? In me. Aham. That's why asa vavasmarad uyasi is why. So self-awareness is it. Another thing is awareness. To be aware of the self is self-awareness. Who is identifying the self? I am identifying, I got fingers, I got hand, I got leg. So there is somebody who is identifying the hands and legs. So the hands and legs are not known to me, so they are external to me. But when I say my hand and leg, the my is not known to me, so the me and my is existing in me. It's not outside me. If it is outside me, I will not call it as my experience. I am not calling finger is the experience of the finger. Finger is the experience of me. I, same way, self-experience, self-existence. Something which is not known to me is experiencing something. He is the one who is only that experiencing. The result I know. Like what we are all doing. We are all experiencing something. We do not know who is experiencing this. We think it is I, the Sharira, I, the Mana, who is experiencing it. So I means I have still personalized it. It is my body, it is my emotion, my privacy has been confined to my body and not even my body and my mind. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand does, they say. Yes, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand does. To that extent, there is a secrecy. Who is that who is experiencing this kashta, dukkha? Who is experiencing this pleasure? Who is experiencing this hatred? Who is experiencing this enmity? Who is experiencing this enjoyment? Who is experiencing this pleasure? Who is that? That's known as self-experience. Whom we do not know. Who are you trying to please? Who are you trying to please by telling lies, telling truth? Right? Telling truth, telling untruth, doing wrong, doing right, making yourself presentable as bhakta, as so-and-so, disciple, as guru, as so-and-so, as so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Who are you trying to please? Who are you pleasing? Ultimately, how are you getting satisfied by doing that? Somebody gets satisfied by telling a lie. Somebody gets satisfied by creating enmity. Somebody gets satisfied by praying. Somebody gets satisfied by meditation. Somebody gets satisfied by knowing Upanishad. Somebody neglecting all these things, they are satisfied. They are satisfied with X, Y, Z, like whatever happens in our life. Who are you satisfying? They say, oh, I want satisfaction. You are talking Vedanta, I don't bother about it. I don't care about it. Who is that who doesn't care? Who is that who doesn't care? In you, who is that who doesn't care? In you, who is that who cares? In you, who doesn't want the Vedanta? In you, who wants the Vedanta? Who? Self-experience, self-existence. You know the meaning of it? It's not a small word. We all thought we understood it when we explained elaborately on the self-existence through consciousness. I am very clear now who is this self and who is this experience. You see, why I have brought you to the conclusion, to the disappointment of that we do not know anything. It's a conclusion of even we do not know who is this self. When we say self-experience or self-existence, we do not know it is. Why Upanishad brings us to this status of that which is untrue, because this is the truth. He is revealing the truth. It's a secrecy, that which is hidden inside you. He is bringing the secrecy that is hidden inside you to external form. Why is he doing this? Why did I explore all this while for so many days just to know that this is false? Absolutely right. All the exercise we do is only to confirm that this is false, because nobody accepts their own mistakes. Everybody thinks what they are doing, what they are thinking is right. Right? How to convince them that you are not right? There has to be a method. That's why this is happening. The falsehood has to be explicitly experimented and experienced and then exposed, then only it can be understood. So he makes you experience the falsehood, because that is what is available with you. You can experience only what you have. The maximum that you have is the falsehood. So when you realize what is the falsehood, experiencing that what you have with you, then you will reject it, renounce it. Then you will know what is behind that. How this falsehood has been created. Who created this falsehood in me? I didn't want it. Who created this falsehood in me? Who is that? This who is that will come only when you remove your falsehood. Is why all this exercise has been done by Upanishad, Maharishi, Tapasvi. What is called the self-experience, self-existence through higher consciousness. The self is experiencing. The self is existing. But the self is identified through the higher consciousness. Who is the self? Like as usual, through the manifestation, everything comes out. In Sthulata, nothing is known. When you are in Sthula Bhava, Sukshma Bhava is unknown and it cannot be known. That which is a secrecy cannot be known unless the secret is unveiled. That veil which is there has to be removed. Unless that is done, the secrecy cannot be revealed. The self-experience has to be identified. After identification of the self-experience only, the self can be unveiled and to know what is called the self. As I told you, experience means somebody should be there to experience. That's why he is self-experiencing. To have the self-experiencing, there has to be somebody above than the experiencing and the self, both. Then only he can say the self is experiencing. Yes. We say the fish is in the water. This can be known only for a person who sees the fish as well as the water. Otherwise it cannot be described. Who is describing the self and existence? Who is describing the self and experience? What is that experience the self is experiencing? What is that experience the self is experiencing through the consciousness? Have you understood self-experience? Zero. That is what is expected also. This can be understood only, this can be known only by, that's why Maharishi, prior to this itself, he has revealed it here, that the higher knowledge which is not available to the ordinary layman, who always mistakes the objects for independent things outside, as depends on them, hangs on them. He has already told that. Now so far what happened? You had been depending on the self. You had been depending on that experience of the self. You had been depending on the existence of the self. You had been depending upon the consciousness. What is that consciousness? So, which is not known. Which is external to you, as far as you are a person who is a layman who understands this as an object. This is an object which is hanging away from you. When you are depending on that, is what Maharishi says, you are depending on that. What happens? That you are a dependent of that which is unknown to you. That unknown, where it is situated, where it is staying, nobody knows. You do not know. And you are dependent on that. You are hanging on that. Is the self existing? Is the existence existing, first of all? Is the self existing? And if self is existing or not existing, how the experiencing is taking place? If experiencing is taking place, who is experiencing it? The ship is anchored. The scientist or the physicist or the theoretician has identified and understood. The anchor's weight should be so much that even if the high tide comes, the ship should not move away from that length of chain. So if that has to be stationary there or just floating there, the weight should be so heavy that any amount of force on the ship should not take the weight away. See? Then only the ship can be anchored. Am I right? Or it has to be tied on something. It is smaller boats. See? It has to be tied on something which is firm. Where is it being tied? In an anchor which is again fixed to the ground. Or the weight which is thrown, in earlier days it used to be big balls of iron, through the chain, so that it is dropped there. It is already there and they connect the chain with that so that that this weight will not allow the ship to, you all know that, I don't have to explain. The principle is that the weight should be so heavy that it should not move, the ship should not move. Where is that heavy weight resting? Where is that heavy weight resting? On the earth. One small tremor on the earth. The heavy weight, where is it gone? And the ship is totally dependent on that weight, which is resting on something which is temporary. Yes, believing that there will be no tremor or earthquake or things like that. Hanging on to that which is unknown, external to us, is what Maharishi is saying. Who are you? That's why I asked you the question. Who are you trying to please? Who are you trying to satisfy? Who are you trying to make happy, make sad, make enemy? Everything is in you. You are creating an enmity, so there is an enemy. You are creating a hatred, so there is a Shatru. You are creating an affection and love, so there is one who is closer to you, Swajan. It's a Swajana. That's why Arjuna said, I will not kill Swajana. Swajana. Who are you? Whom is he satisfying? Swajana. Who is this Swajana? Who isn't Apara? Who is Swajana? Who is Apara? We create so many things, is it not? We create so many complications. Who are you satisfying by complications? Your mind wants complications. Who are you satisfying? Your mind. Who has no bearing. Where is the mind staying? Who is the mind? Where depending on? Like that it goes on. So it comes to self and experience and this. You understand what I am trying to? That's why I said we are not understood. If somebody tries to understand the higher consciousness with the lower consciousness, it is not possible. So have what? With our intelligence and in understanding and lower consciousness, what we understood about the self-experience and self-existence is false, is what I am trying to tell you. That's why I told in the beginning, don't understand. Don't understand. You will get stuck only with that. Well, again, as he said, this is meant for those people who would like to be really serious on walking and experiencing that path. So you have to conceive it, to perceive it. You have to conceive it. Garbha dharanam. In Garbha, what happens? Without you knowing. In Garbha, without you knowing, something is growing inside you. Do you know in growing what stage it is, how it looks like, and what is that growing inside? Nothing is known. This is why it is known as Garbha Rahasya. Garbham, like the Garbha, when it is expanding, it is expanding you into the space and time. How will one conceive it? Oh, I have only this limited body. How will I conceive? Whether it is a child or whether this knowledge, both are same. How will I conceive? The moment you conceive, the knowledge inside you when it is increasing, or the child inside you when it is growing. In the physical sense, the body expands into space and time. And in spirituality, your mind expands into space and time. By you expanding into space and time means what? You are occupying the space and time. Not a small thing. When you've grown, what happens? You have occupied the space and time. Where is the space? Where is the time? Gone. Where is it gone? You have conceived it. Space has not conceived you. You have conceived the space because you have grown. Knowledge, jnanam. When the jnani, that's why the Maharshi, Tapasvi, Mahaguru, he conceives the whole space and time. Who is Swajana in that? When the whole space is conceived in him, when the whole time is conceived in him, who is Swajana? That's why Bhagavan Krishna said, hey, Arjuna, the Swajana, what you are calling, is only an illusion that you have. Anyway, I think I must come out of it. Okay. Self. This is the previous chapter. Otherwise this. That's why I said you will be keeping on anchoring in that anchor which is not anchored, thinking that it is an anchor without properly anchoring. To be pursued, assuming as an anchoring without truly anchoring. Self-awareness. It's called self-awareness. Is this what happens? So this has to be, that's why Bhagavan said, there has to be higher, we have to grow to the slower consciousness to higher consciousness. I have asked you a few questions. It should disturb you. It should bother you. If it is not disturbing you, not bothering you, you are stuck with the lower consciousness and satisfied with that. That's all. Who are you pleasing? Who are you making happy? Who are you hating? I've asked you 3-4 questions like that. I think you can recollect them. And what do you think? That Swajana, who is experiencing? Whom are you? Who are you pleasing? Who are you experiencing? Who are you making happy? What for are you making that happy? What for are you making that enemy? What for are you that creating that separation. Why are you going away from that oneness? This self-experience. That's why he said the smara, the self-awareness or self-existence mentioned above. Because the more you go into sthulata, you will be only experiencing the sthulata. In sthula bhava, only sthulata can be understood. And in the status of the sthulata, the actions in the sthulata only can be understood. The actions of sukshmata cannot be identified by the sthulata. Because that which is expanded, that which has expanded cannot understand its original position of contraction. Balloon which is blown, I know it is difficult to understand, is why I am putting an example. When the balloon you blow, it becomes big, colorful, paintings are there. It has a shape and form. You tie a string to it, give it to the child. He enjoys it. He enjoys what? That expanded form, you see. The expanded form. He is unable to think what is the contracted form of it. If had he understood the contracted form of that, he would not be unhappy when it breaks. Why is he unhappy when the balloon breaks? He thought this sthula bhava is the truth. You understood? No? We are that child. We are that child who understands the sthula bhava is the truth. The external form and shape is the truth, is why Maharishi Pippalada said, you do not know what is Brahman. And the disciples have recognized only when they identified the Sukshma Bhava. Till then, they were seeing the Sthula Bhava of that. And in the Sthula Bhava, Sukshma Bhava cannot be understood. That what you call as Vyavaharika and Adhyatmika, both, they are all identifications created by your mind for the purpose of satisfying your ego, which is again resting on the untruth, anchored on the untruth, without knowing. In fact, in short, what happens, a dust flowing in the wind doesn't know where and which direction, at what speed, and is flying, and where it is going to settle. It is just by some force it is happening actually, but the dust thinks he is flying. He is flying in a particular direction. When he sees a leaf, he thinks he will settle on that. If he doesn't settle on that, he says that, okay, I have changed the direction of not settling into that. Everybody has freedom to live the way they want to live. Every dust has freedom to fly the way it can fly. Whether you accept Vedanta, not accept Vedanta. You accept Brahman, not Brahman. It doesn't make any difference. That's why there is a change in the universe. There are changes in the people. They are born, they are dead. But there is no change in the Vedanta. There is no change in the Brahman. There is no change in the consciousness. They are the same. There's no change. It's only this what is changing. So this changes to teach us that the falsehood in us, falsehood and continuous effort, continuous insistent effort to be stationary in that falsehood is what we call as life and living. So it has to continue till the time the falsehood is removed. So Bhagavan said, the next one is okay. Asha Bhavasmarat Bhuyasi Aseto Vai Smaro Mantran Adite Karani Gurude. So that which is mentioned in the preceding section as self-experience or existence is not complete by itself. It is very existence and dependent upon, as I told you, an urge. An urge that is present prior to that position. Unless there is an urge, this cannot come out. The self cannot, the experience, existence cannot come out. First of all, that urge has to be there. That asha, here asha is that. Asha is not a desire here in Sanskrit. Here in this Upanishadic language, asha. Asha is not a small desire, even though in physical science it can be translated as desire, because there is no word otherwise here. It's not moha. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not moha. Moha is different. Asha is different. Moha is different. See? Asha is also expectation, one can say. Hope. Hopelessness. It's known as self-transcendence. Asha is the urge to have the self-transcendence. By whom? Always the question, who? By the consciousness, by the higher consciousness. Self-transcendence. Who desires to become the self? See, when you identify the self, means there's always a confinement in self, is it not? When I call a house, I immediately see 4 walls and divisions inside the 4 walls. All the divisions are inside 4 walls. You may call it 10-bedroomed house, or you may call it 1-bedroomed house. The divisions made to the area within the 4 walls, same way. When I call it a self, I always feel something which is confined in something. Something which is confined in something, we call it as self. Is always, it's not giving an idea or thought. What is itself? That's right. That's why he called it as self, no doubt about it. Because this confinement to that sthula bhava of the self, the sthula bhava, the self, the sthula bhava, the self, has come from the asha, transcendence of the self from the consciousness, is the confined self that we are calling it as self existence, self experience. This transcendence, unless that transcendence takes place in him, in that asha doesn't take place in that consciousness. If that desire doesn't take place, how can a self be born from there? If the self doesn't have a desire, how can there be akasha, space? How can there be space? Smriti. Okay. How can there be smriti? If smriti doesn't desire, how can there be akasha? If akasha doesn't desire, how can there be, the Agni? Each desires to create the other. That which grows inside you is the one which is desiring the external of you. That becomes external. When it is desiring inside, it becomes self. When it has already happened, it becomes external to you. That desire, when it matures, it has happened to you. When the consciousness desired, I'm using a word desired, is absolutely wrong. When the transcendence of the self took place in the conscious level, the self-existence or self-experience has been manifested from that. Everything is a manifestation. In each level it is a manifestation. Because manifestation is an intention. Intentional. Manifestation is intentional. I want to be good is intentional. I want to be bad is intentional. I want to be enemy, I want to be intentional. Arjuna said Swajana is intentional because he didn't want to fight. It's intentional. And consciousness which is beyond his own present consciousness or the existing consciousness behind that, there was a fear of losing. Losing Swajana, losing war, losing whatever you call it. This losing, the fear of losing has created. Actually what happened is it Swajana? If it was Swajana, why Arjuna did not think about Swajana till that moment of few seconds before fight only, he identified them as Swajana. Having prepared so much of elaborate arrangement of Bharata Yuddha, please identify, they are to teach us a lesson. Have you not understood? I'm asking Arjuna, have you not understood? Hey, great, he's not an ordinary man. He's not a layman as Upanishad called. Arjuna is highly spiritually developed person. With tapasya he has acquired, he has pleased Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, many of them. He has acquired weapons from them as a boon. You see, it's a blessing from them. So he is not an ordinary person. Even that not an ordinary person, he created the fear inside him. Actually what happens? The Swajanata did not come so far. Why? He was preparing with all this for years together, including pleasing lords and acquiring the archery and weapons to him. Did he not think about it? Did he become conscious only when a point of arrow to be shot to him? Then only the consciousness of Swajanata has come. I don't know whether you understand what I am speaking. Normal layman, human being is also like that. The Swajanata comes only at the point of when one is trying to shoot the arrow, that's all. Vijanata and Swajanata, Ajanata, everything happens only at the time of your use and utility. If the utility is not there, Swajanata is not there. So long he was not fighting, he did not call them Swajana. They called Kauravas our enemies of ours. And the same Kauravas have become Swajana to him within a fraction of a second. He is anchoring on that. Whom? Not on the Swajanata. What has happened? That from the Sukshma Bhava of the consciousness, as I told you, manifestation. Why did I say all this? Because I said about the manifestation from the consciousness to the self, confined, unknowingly there was something, there is a confinement. The self is confined in something. That means self means it is not completely open to everything. Self itself gives us a very contractive look, gives us a contractive appearance. Is it not the self? Means something from something. The yolk inside the egg is not egg. The yolk inside the egg. It's something like that. Self is somewhere confined somewhere. Same way Arjuna had the consciousness. Why? He had the fear of losing. Whatever it is, losing. Bhagavan did not have that. Why? Because he did not manifest anything. So Bhagavan did not, and Bhagavan said, you fight. Arjuna said, no, they are Swajana. I cannot fight with them. Where did you get this Swajanata? So long, the one who were enemies have become Swajana. After having understood, they have become enemies again. And he fought. You see what happens. Swajanata is a manifestation. They are not Swajana is also a manifestation. Fighting is a manifestation. Not fighting is also a manifestation. Is why Bhagavan said, you are not doing it, I am doing it. Because of this principle. When he is doing it, Arjuna thought he is doing it. As the dust flying in the storm, thinking that I am flying. Arjuna thought I am fighting. Same way, the normal layman, normal human being, normal layman thinks whatever he does, he is doing it, manifesting it from his own consciousness. I told you about the difference in happening. People take it as a shelter today in Kali Yuga, that if something happens which is not desirable to them, he says what to do. It is God's wish. If something good happens to them, God is nowhere nearby. You know what I did, how much of trouble I took to acquire that. You know. No. If otherwise, what to do? Jaisa wo chaha. This is the concept of our happening. Everything is happening in the sense I told you. Happening is connected with so many factors. I have explained it in a previous class. It's a karma, it's a perception. There are so many factors. I told the example of the glass and water. I, glass, water, gravity, bhumi, and nature, prakriti, purusha. Everything is involved in order to have the happening. So it happens, but it happens. This happening is also, when you change the course of direction of the happening, that is called karma. Kurute. That's why we say there's a word called I am doing it. There's a word called I am doing it. Absolutely right. When I say I am doing it, I am deviating from the path of the truth, reality. Is the true meaning of it. And this is what's happening with the layman, with the physical sense, in the physical science, and in the materialistic way, and in the sharirik, manasik existence of a human being. He is doing things. Why? Because he doesn't listen to the prakriti. He doesn't listen to the consciousness. He doesn't identify the consciousness. He has put a wheel towards that. Why? Because through his ahankara, this remover is that. That's why I told that all that what you have thought, what you are doing is all falsehood. You will find everything you are doing it. Because that's why I asked you that few questions. Who are you trying to please? You ask yourself 100 times. By doing this, who am I pleasing? Who am I making happy? Who am I promoting? Who am I transcending by this activity? If you are not transcending, everything is transcendence, we say. Even from Jagrata Avastha to Swapna Avastha or to Sushupta Avastha is also a kind of transcendence. Why? They are not intentional, that's why. So we call it as transcendence. They are not intentional. When it is intentional, it is manifestation. Mother wants to go for shopping, feed the child and say that better sleep, I have to go for shopping. Manifestation. Child sleeps after the milk is taken. Transcendence. Simple language to put it the way you understand. Without an intention, there is an intention, here there is no intention. So one is doing, another is transcendence. You understand? There has to be transcendence in every act. If I find there is transcendence in act, that is called the truth. That's called happening. That is called the acceptance of the consciousness and one functioning through the consciousness, not through the egoistic, emotional mind. This is how you identify what is called transcendence and what is called karma. Am I right? Maybe. Bhagavan said, everything that we are supposed to do is for the purpose of transcendence. That's why death is happening. To make people conscious that, look, it is temporary and a transcendence takes place. Here we are tied up with what are we tied up with, The man has died. Gone. Whoever it is gone completely. Now, in that what happens? He is asking, Is he wearing any gold chain? Better remove it. Is that dead body wearing any ring which is of gold? If it is, what is that? Aluminium, doesn't bother about it. Somebody wears the steel one at all. Let him take it with him. If any gold, please remove it. I'm jokingly said it's not true. It is very true. You know that? Before the body is firm, open the mouth and take the gold tooth out. Otherwise it will become frozen. Quietly, सिर में कपड़ा डाल के somebody will sit inside. Put the hand inside the mouth and take the gold tooth. Quietly put it in the book and come and values. Where is it gone, Sojanata? Where is that consciousness gone? So where are we? So when in the Sthula Bhava, one cannot understand the Sukshma Bhava. Why did I say that? Is that our consciousness anchored only in that, where you have created, this called, this is all what manifestation. We are tied up with that. Now, unless that is there, we will not be able to survive in this world. This manifestation, the fear of living. We think everything is security. There's a word called security they created. I don't know. Today it's a very big word. Where in this universe everyone is secure. Everything in this universe is secure. A lion doesn't have a security force. He lives among the wild animals. The lion lives among the wild animals, no security. Perception, it's a kind of, who are you satisfying? Who are you pleasing? Who wants security of this body? See how much of importance is given to the body. Who is that somebody with a weapon gives security to this body, and with all that he is gunned down. The next moment, that gun which was supposed to be using for security of this person, shooting the other person, will be utilized for the gun salute. Tack. That's all. Where is the security gone? Where is the security of money? Oh, comfortable. No, what's the meaning of this? Why do you say that? No more breathing even required. Enough money is there. I am secure. Security, feeling of security. That's why it is only feeling. Manifestations. Why these are all happening? Manifestations of understanding, you see. They are all created from the Sthulata to Sthula. Who are you dependent on? As he rightly said, that the objects which are hanging outside, depending on that and hanging on to it, saying that I am safe. Whereas all of the day you are born, you are safe till you are died. That's all. That's all. In between that, oh my God, what not all drama. So Bhagavan says, it is the existence is dependent upon an urge that is prior to the presence of that status. Presence of status of
in that situation.
Prior to that situation. So whichever is prior to that situation is projecting out of an asha, that's called asha, a transcendence. Through that transcendence, he creates the sthula bhava from that. Through a transcendence, he creates a sthula bhava by that. For what? For experiencing it. Yeah? For experiencing it. And at that time, what does he think? He means, I'm just addressing he, that's all. That consciousness. What is that consciousness is thinking? That if I can transcend and project a sthula bhava from me, I can always bring it back. Is what he thinks. But he doesn't know, he gets entangled into the sthula bhava. After projecting it, this is what I have told you about the security. See, you work the whole life or struggle the whole life or part of the life. You create such securities, emotional securities, wealth securities, or whatever, everything is a security, even emotional security. Getting married is also an emotional security. Having children, an emotional security. Having this, I have got, we all say that, even I used to say that, yes. Oh, my brothers and sisters are there. I must build a house nearer to them so that while dying, they will come and cry. What else they can do? As I told you the other day, if you drop from those, the old days, that ink filler used to be there, that dropper, Ganga Jal, because it will not go other than that. Take one drop. That's all one can. Security. नहीं है, कितना है गंगा जल, कितना है? अरे एक ड्रॉप दे दो उसको. He is going. For that, I have to build a house there nearby my sister's house. One drop. I can buy it here. Security. Very secured. Now there is no problem. You see. I am very safe. For all the years. And I don't want to tell too much other. It will be affecting many people. So forget about it. Security. I just because security it came all to my mind. I know now you know what I mean. Why I am telling all this that? I asked you a question. Who are you making happy? Why are you doing all this? Who are you creating enmity? Who are you creating the hatred to? What for? These questions I have asked. These are the answers for that. So these are the parameters where you can utilize for experimenting that answer. This, examples. They're all. So for that security, I am doing this. For this, I am doing this. That's why I am giving you these experiments, the chemicals for experiments, so that you can add this to all those things and experience it and find out who are you trying to make happy. You are only stuck with the egoistic, emotional, downtrodden, lower conscious level, that's all. If one is happy, if one is fine, it's okay. They're all conception of yours. It's okay, fine. Who can force you change it? Nobody can force you change it. But the ones who realize the truth, ones who wants to realize the truth, ones who wants to be the truth, ones who wants to walk on the path of the truth, ones who wants to recognize the truth, he can utilize this method of transcendence of the self into that consciousness who created the self individual. Self always looks like an individual, you see. But the self contains everything. The self, what he means here, is contains everything. So what do you have to have? It's an aspiration of transcendence of the self. Is that which is created by the consciousness when it was projected to the sthula bhava of self. When it created that, it thought it can easily withdraw back, come back. He thought, oh, I am only creating the self. I can always come back. In a new place, when we go out of the house, few streets, we always make a what do you call them? Some identification mark. In this corner there is a pawn shop. There is a tailor. By the time we come back, tailor must have closed. That's a different thing. There's a tailor and all that. Then you come back. No? So if it is in a short distance, you come back without any problem with those identities. It's in the periphery. Suddenly you have to turn 5-6 turnings. One is left, one right, one then straight, one come back, and again a winding, and then take a ride on the flyover and come back. Now I don't know how to go back. Right? Same way. When the consciousness created this, opted for the experience through the projection of self, he manifested that self, thinking that he has created a mark, so that he can come back. But after having created the self wanted to experience something. It further manifested something, and it went astray. Now don't know how to go back. Like we have lost the way without of those points where we remembered, because it's too many windings and too many crossings. So here also too many windings and crossings have come. I'm to the sthula bhava is why I am not able. That's why he said a layman. He said layman in the sense the man who is not able to see from where he has come is a layman. Layman is not that one who doesn't know anything. No. One who doesn't know from where he has come, how to go back to that route. So we try, ask people which way to go there, and then you walk, then you travel, then you do this, you do this, you do this. Or you have a GPS. Turn left, turn right. Everywhere GPS is required. Of course, away going out of subject, when I said GPS, today I saw one comic strip by that, who is that naughty boy? Dennis the Menace. Dennis buys a kite from the shop. Shopkeeper says that, okay, 50 cents, he pays that. And after he buying it, don't you have a GPS in this so that, it can come back to wherever it goes? So even in kite he wants a GPS, you see, so he can bring it back. Otherwise it goes, no? Same way we should have a GPS. Who is the GPS? GPS is that the technology to have the transcendence, reverse process transcendence towards that. It's got an aspiration of the aspiration to the self-transcendence, they called it. This aspiration has to be there, at least, for the self-transcendence. Then only from this Thula Bhava of me, Swajana, Ajana and Vijana, to that Jananam should be there. The self-aspiration of transcendence has to be there. But what happens? Here the self enjoys the experimental experience that what is happening without knowing that he has to one day or other, with hard way or lighter way or whichever way it is, he has to find a method to have the transcendence, to go back to the roots. Till the time he goes back to his origin, he will be keep on flying like a kite which broke the string from the holder of that. Without an aim, it will be flying. Otherwise, it was with an aim because there is a control over it, you see. Once the thread is broken, there is no aim for that. It flies wherever it is taken, and the kite thinks, I am the one who is flying and the others are enjoying my flight. I have manifested them. But actually what happened? They have manifested him, that he doesn't know. So he says, aspiration, its very existence is dependent upon an urge that is prior to the status of that, the prior to present prior to its status. We live on account of kind of hope in our life. Even in materialistic life, we are not living based on, oh, today I was very happy, so let me live another 100 years. It is not the reason why you are living. You are living, tomorrow is going to be better than today. Or tomorrow I am going to be out of this. Tomorrow I am going to be into this. Tomorrow I am going to be like that. Tomorrow is going to be not like that. Is the reason why we are living, on account of that. The hope, he called it. That's the hope. That's a hope without any basis. So it is known only as hope. It is not transcendence. Hope is not transcendence. Hope doesn't have. If the hope has got any bearing to it, hope has got any substance to that, hope has got any basis to that, the substratum to it, then it is transcendence. If it doesn't have a substratum, it is a hope, it's a mere hope. I hope it happens. While telling itself, he knows it may not happen. I hope it happens. That's all. Is it not? It's a very uncertain word, hope, is it not? So it hope. I wish it happens, I hope it happens. It's only an uncertainty there. Everything is an uncertainty. Even desire is an uncertainty. All these words are uncertainty. And what is certain? The certainty is transcendence, is the certainty. Transcendence is certainty. I'm sure that I will be that. Is transcendence. And transcendence can be only through the status of trance. Hope can be in any way. While lying like that and eating peanuts, I hope tomorrow also I get the peanuts. It can be like that. A hope can be that. Transcendence cannot be there. There has to be a substratum. There has to be, he has to be in trance. He has to have the knowledge, jnanam, of the Vedic and Upanishadic science. He should know how to take this into that, which is sthula, into that sukshma, and from that sukshma to the sukshma, to the sukshma, to the sukshma, is called transcendence. So, anything that is happening cannot be called as transcendence. They are all hope, desire, and wish. That's all. Most uncertain words based on your emotions, based on your pretension of manifestation, not even manifestation. It's a pretension of manifestation, that's all. You are based on that, and you are hanging on to that hope, you are hanging on to that desire, you are hanging on to that wish. Meteor is falling down from the sky, you look at that and make two wishes, it will happen. Seen falling stars? Also, you can hold your ear at that time. And said that, and very clearly they also said, the very wise people, they have told that. Nothing connected with Upanishad. Intelligent people have told that the wish you have thought should not be told to anybody, because most foolish thing is the meaning of it. Keep it with you, otherwise, as it is, you are a fool. They will stamp you a fool over and above that. Is why they say, don't tell that out. Very true. That I accept, I agree with that. They are not transcendents, they are wish and hope. The hope tomorrow is going to be good, the hope tomorrow is going to be better, without any basis, without any substratum, without any firm conviction, is absolutely a pretension of manifestation, not even manifestation. Has no bearing on that. So, and why did I say all this? That is the true bearing of our life, living. We are totally dependent on that, hanging on to that. So, what I said is true. The dust flying in the storm, thinking that I am flying, that's all. You don't have any substratum of your thought. You are only manifesting your life, that you will be living like this, like this, like this. Where you are hanging on to those uncertainties. Wish itself is uncertain, hope is uncertain, a desire is uncertain, manifestation of tomorrow is uncertain, time. Tomorrow is according to your 24 hours, is the time according to you. Kala. The moment the time is translated, and then your concept and the thinking changes from time to kala, immediately there is a change in the thought pattern. Samaya, then it is samaya adita, it becomes kala. Kala adita, then I will become adita of kala. Kala adita, timelessness is transcendence. Time is change, timelessness is transcendence. I go into timelessness because we are timeless. This false manifestation in us is that which is created the time in us. We do not live on account of our present experience merely. We are living within us, which keeps us tied to a self-consciousness, and that is the desire for betterment of our life in future, mentioned in this section of Upanishad as asha, hope or aspiration. It is aspiration of self-transcendence. Even here Upanishad says, even that is false, it is baseless. But this thought comes to us how? What I told you is the truth, that the wish, the hope, the what is it? Desire is absolutely false, baseless, substratum. There is no substratum. If there is no substratum, if there is false, how this has come into me? When you ask this question, this is the question I have answered some time back. Arjuna thought the others are swajana only at the point when it has come to the fighting, but even a few minutes back, he did not think that he is going to fight the swajana. This consciousness has created a play inside him. What is the cause of that play? The cause of that play is called the asha for the transcendence. The basic characteristics of us, inside us, is the transcendence. We would like to go back to the root. So we are applying it only in a different way, that's all. So Bhagavan says, when Arjuna says, I will not fight them because they are swajana, immediately what happened? It is a mere desire without any substratum, without any intention of the manifestation even. That itself was wrong. The manifestation, the basis of manifestation itself was wrong. But when Bhagavan interfered with his consciousness, with whom? Not with Arjuna. When Bhagavan means what? Who is an absolute jnanam. When the absolute jnanam interfered with the consciousness, it made the consciousness identify and understand all these are fictions and lies, but the purpose of you being here and pretending to be fighting and pretending to be this and that and even including your name is all because of me. Me means what? The jnanam. Because of me. So your idea is totally wrong. This perception of transcendence was in Arjuna because he was a tapasvi. He had that quality. So immediately he could understand they are no more swajana. The one who said he is swajana, when the intervention of the intervention of the jnanam has happened in his consciousness, the consciousness which is already a tapasvi, in the sense which is already desirous or which is already ashavadi of transcending himself into the truth, has immediately conceived the idea from the jnanam and he went above, not came down. Whereas in the normal human being, what happens? This intervention of the jnanam, even though it happens because of non-tapasya attitude. What is that non-tapasya attitude? Why did I say this word? Is because he still is entangled with the sthula avastha, experimenting. He is not having the idea of transcending towards the sukshma avastha, is not at all there. Is called the avastha which is not tapasya avastha. A tapasvi is the one who is doing the tapa in order to have the transcendence into the sukshma tala of him. Whereas a bhogi is the one who is enjoying the sthula avastha wherever he is. So in the enjoyment of the pleasure or the enjoyment of sorrows and sadness and the happiness which according to his perception, when he is involved in that, when his involvement is completely in that, his acceptance of the jnanam, even though it is much higher, he is not in a position to perceive it or conceive it. Is why he is not in a position to transcend immediately, even though the jnanam is powerful and standing constantly on its head, saying that the day you stop enjoying, you will conceive me. So I am standing there. Is there? It's not. So the day you stop enjoyment of the stula avastha, you are conscious of the transcendence. Is why I say, I tell everyone, don't get involved. Because they are involvement into stula avastha. We have to go through the stula. When there is a wind, breeze, let it be there. Let the breeze blow. Do I have to travel? Oh, will there be breeze tomorrow morning or not? So better let me also fly along with the breeze, so that the breeze will always be with me. Will we think that? No. First of all, because we think that we cannot fly. One. Second is that tomorrow morning again there is going to be breeze. This baseless conception. Wanting to experiment it and experience it. This experimental experience is not the quality of Ashavadi. It's not Asha. It's not the quality of transcendence. It is getting stuck, not wanting to transcend from the Sthula Avastha to Sukshma Avastha. We are in Sthula Avastha. We have to be in Sthula Avastha. There is nothing wrong, because it has come all the way from the Sukshma Avastha. Now, do not know how to return back. But he said what? You should be like Arjuna. You should be in a position to at least, okay, even though you suddenly dropped yourself into that, and then at least you should, when Bhagavan intervenes, means what? Who is Bhagavan here? The jnanam intervenes into me. I should be in a position to be ready for transcendence, not transcendence. Once you have to be ready for transcendence, then you start transcending. Is the path of spirituality. Is the path of spiritualism. Is why this aspiration. It's aspiration. So he qualifies it aspiration for self-transcendence. There has to be an aspiration for self-transcendence. So when the question of transcendence comes, it has become self-aspiration. When it is a question of going back to, traveling towards the Sulavastha, it becomes hope, wish and desire. When you have to go down, it is hope, wish and desire. When you have to go up, I call it as up, just to make us understand. When you have to go up or towards the Sukshmavastha, we call it as aspire. Aspiration. From that aspiration only, ascent has come. From desire only, descent has come. Aspire, ascent. No? Desire, descent or despair. Getting it? It's why we want to keep on experimenting on the Sthula Avastha, because that's why I asked you that question. Who do you want to repeat? I repeat this question because it's one. My question, like Ramana Maharshi asked, who am I? I am asking you these questions. Who do you want to please? Whom do you want to please? Who are you making happy? Whom are you making angry? Whom are you making enmity with? Whom are you making having hatred? Who are you making happy? Who are you making pleased? Our very existence is valuable only on account of the tendency present in self-consciousness to transcend itself into higher modes of being. Very important sentence again. Our very existence. Here, Maharshi removes your doubt. So long he has given you a chance to travel wherever you like, wagging your tail. Hope has no desire. After everything is over, he pulled the string back, come here, and said, our very existence. Now understand, I left you for some time doesn't mean you can do anything you like. Our very existence is valuable only on account of the tendency present in the self-consciousness to transcend itself into higher modes of being. That means, what is the tendency here? There is a jnanam in our consciousness. There is a jnanam in our consciousness to transcend ourselves to higher being. This is there, and you avail it, is what he is telling. That's why I said, pulling the string back. See, you should be tied with the string, anchored. That anchor, where is that anchor? Not in the heavy weight, where it is unsupported by anything, but the anchor should be with the jnanam. That's all. It's everything is nowadays, what is it? Everything is wireless. What do you call it?
Cordless.
Cordless. A cordless connection with us, the jnana, calling you back. There's no Bluetooth on that. Only cordless is it. There's no Y and Phi also. The pure jnanam is that. Pure jnanam. You don't have to carry it with you. It travels with you wherever you go. The others, Y, Phi, you have to carry it. Others you have to carry with you, but this you don't have to carry because you are in it. It's always there. So you have to, every time you put one step towards the stulata, look back. Remember, I have told few years back, it's known as Simha-Avalokanam. Simha-Avalokanam. Have look back. The jnanam is there. Immediately, that's why I said, the call should be answered, I said. The jnanam is standing behind you and calling you, not in front. There you are walking towards the stulata. Here he stands there. He says that you are going into stulata. Come back. The jnanam is always there behind you. He is calling you. Answer the call. Stop. And then turn. And then answer the call. 3 activities have to be there. Child going towards the swimming pool, standing there. The mother standing little away. Standing and telling that there is deep water inside. If you go further, you will fall inside and drown. Who is that? Jnanam standing, telling that child has to stop, turn, listen to mother, come back to mother, which is a confirmed anchor instead of an uncertain water which is deeper and sink inside that. Right? Example, just to make us understand easily. It will be embedded in your mind why the jnanam calling, the consciousness calling, the Guru calling you back. Come. I am firm because I am the anchor. Only I is the one where you can anchor. Others are uncertainties. This is the only certainty, is with conviction, I tell you, is what the jnanam tells us. Is how so the consciousness has to be prepared to transcend itself towards that higher mode of self, then only it is possible. An arrogant, disobedient child will not listen to the mother, jump into the pool and drown. Where? Into ajnanata, not to the jnanata. The jnanam will only witness. Yes. Om Shanti. We'll continue with the third para in this chapter. It's a very big chapter. I thought I'll finish 2 chapters today because, anyway, my character habit of more and more of these explanations. I thought I would reduce it. Who am I to decide? The dust flying in the storm thinks that he is flying. That's what I was. It's not that. He has decided. Om Shanti.